Welcome, everyone, to Voices of Resilience. This is a bonus episode to the Iowa podcast. And this is where we are healing loudly and living softly. And we're going to go through real stories. We're going to talk about grounded tools and collective courage. And so, this is the very first bonus episode of this kind. And I'm super excited to be able to have my actual sister, my blood sister, as the first guest on Voices of Resilience. So I am going to bring her to the stage. It is Chara Jane. She is an amazing mommy. She is an amazing sister. Before she was a mommy, she was my little sister. And she is a life coach. She inspires people. She does a amazing minister, inspirational speaker. She's all the things. And so I want to welcome her. And you see the baby of the bunch on her lap. So we got a special guest along with her. So welcome, Chara, to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you, and I'm honored to be the first guest. Thank you, Sissy.
You're welcome. So I thought you would be amazing. There's so many things that I know that you could talk about when it comes to resilience. You were the first person that came to mind. I think about that word and what it means to me. So I kind of want to start there. When you hear the word resilience, what do you think about?
So, when I think of resilience, I think my definition of resilience has changed over time. But what stands out most to me in this season is never giving up on yourself, believing that no matter what you experience or what you face, that you're not only capable of going through it, but that you will come out stronger on the other end of it.
So, with your definition of resilience, can you think of an experience that you've had that you can directly connect to that definition?
I can think of a lot of experiences. I think one of the most transformative experiences that I've had was becoming a single mother of twins at 19. I think that was a very life defining moment for me, especially being a, a daughter of a bishop and having, societal and religious expectations that, nobody thought like, oh, that I would be the person that happened to, but also understanding that outside of people's expectations and thoughts of me, I had a journey and a path that God had created for me that I needed to walk out. And I feel like that experience really set my path to become the woman that I am today, probably more than anything else.
I think I like that example because it was interesting that you talked about the societal pressures and the expectations. And I was watching something yesterday where men were discussing manhood and what that looks like. And one of the takeaways that they gave as advice was that being you is probably one of the hardest things to do because of the expectations that everybody outside of you has. And so I kind of like that you talked about it was part of your journey. It's what was part of making you who you are, and that you had to be you in spite of what people thought should be the direction for your life. So I really like that connection between those. So let's go to this because you talked about your younger self being a single mom of twins. If you had to look back and give your younger self advice, what would that be?
Learn how to define what it means to choose you.
Dig into that. What does that mean? That's a good one.
So I think most of my life I struggled with wanting to be chosen, either in
Mhm.
friendships or romantic relationships. And I don't think I ever took the time to really consider, have I defined what it means to be chosen? And
Mhm.
so what that did is it led me down a path of people pleasing and contorting myself and trying to compromise on so many different fronts to please other people and to be in connection or relationship with other people, but not really taking time to identify, is this really something that honors me, honors what I desire, honors who God created me to be? And I feel that if I had learned that lesson sooner, I know I probably would have made different decisions. But it's not even about the different decisions as much as it is about learning to love myself, to speak up for myself, to stand in my true identity and authenticity.
So, to piggyback off of that answer, because it makes me question, when do you feel like you discovered really who you were?
Uh, the 30s.
Okay. That actually is on brand for what, especially more so for women. I can't speak for men because I've never been one, but I know for me, my 30s was when something switched for me. Almost like I really don't care what other people think, not in a disrespectful way,
No.
but just your opinions don't dictate how I view me.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a testament. It was funny because the men, when they were talking about it, a lot of them said 40s. And
Wow.
I thought it was interesting because some were like midway through the 40s, some are like in their beginning of their 50s. But the fact that they were saying that even for them, it was later in life that they
Yeah.
really got to understand. Again, societal pressures and expectations are different for men and women, but I think that there's a consistency there. The ages may not be exactly the same, but it's basically showing that when we get to a certain point in life, certain responsibilities, certain experiences, we see clearer than we do in our 20s.
Absolutely. I would
Yeah,
wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah.
yeah. Ooh, that's good. All right, so let's talk about family because I'm big on talking about community, and I'm talking about culture too because it all goes together. So how has your family or your community helped with your healing process from different things that you've experienced and needed to heal, as well as connected to the growth that you've also made?
I think that's a powerful question because I love even what you talk about like in your messaging and especially like in the emails that are sent out about how you don't heal in isolation. I
Mhm.
feel like my family played a huge role in my healing journey. Just as I shared like that experience with becoming pregnant at a young age, I feel like my parents could have handled that a very different way. And I've seen instances in the church where people handled that in a way that wasn't very loving, that wasn't very understanding or supportive. And I feel like my parents did their best to cover me in that situation, not necessarily remove me from the responsibility of my actions, but they did a good job of making sure that I felt like I had support. And I'm like laughing when I think about it because my mom was very big on like, I'm not watching your kids for you, but you don't ever have to worry about having a place to live. You don't have to worry about having a roof over your head. And I feel like just that stance alone gave me the space to be able to become a responsible young mother and learn how to find things out for myself, figure some things out for myself. But then when I also think about my friend groups, I feel like the women and the people that God has connected me to, they're just like some real ones. And it's done so much for me when it comes to healing because they've been a safe space for me. You know, when you're in places of leadership, sometimes it's hard to be your most vulnerable self with the masses. That's not to say that you're fake, but just you cannot let everybody into your most, inner intimate parts. But the people that God has placed in my life to be a support system to me, they are a safe space. They allow me to be the parts of myself that I may not be able to be out in the open, but they make space for me to just be. They listen, and they are not so much because I'm like when you're in leadership too, and I think you understand what I'm talking about, sis, with
Mhm.
people expect a lot from you. They are not
Yeah.
necessarily used to showing up for you. And
Yes.
so when you have friends, you don't wanna always be on all the time. You wanna be
Yeah.
able to kinda let your hair down and to just be who you are and to kick back and to feel accepted and embraced in whatever state you may be in. And I feel
Yeah.
like
I
God has blessed me with that.
I think that you highlight a good point about people that have calling and purpose on their life. The expectation is for you to always walk in that calling and purpose and never get downtime.
Yeah,
And so I think what you're expressing is clearly you had support from our parents through what would stereotypically be a thing that would be handled in a very different way in the church. Again, I've seen it because again, I'm older than you, so I've seen what it looked like way back in the day with my contemporaries that have gotten pregnant and how it has almost derailed their life long term because of how they were handled. So you had that as something that every child does not get in that situation, especially in the church realm.
Right.
And then you have friends, like you said, that are real, meaning they're unfiltered with you, but they handle you with care. And I think that both of those things can coexist because my friend group is like that too.
Yeah.
We can tell each other, your slip is hanging, girl, you don't look good right now. But they know it comes from a place of love, got a booger in your nose, whatever it may be, right? We we have that dynamic, but we show up for each other in ways that is so beautiful and so authentic that we feel comfortable being raw in their presence. Because for me, and I think you're saying this similar thing, safe spaces are not easy to find. And when you find them, you cherish them.
Yeah.
You have had almost lifelong friendships. I have had lifelong friendships. Like my friend group from single digits is still my friend group now. And then along that journey, I've also added some additional safe spaces with depth and quality. And I value that. I don't take that for granted. So I
Absolutely.
think you've highlighted some key things. Since you talked about leadership, I'm going to transition into some questions about that because we can't get away from that. Part of you, the person, Chara, feels like calling and not work.
Mm. I feel like the part of me that feels like calling and not work is dealing with like authenticity. I think it's always been a part of who I was, even when I was a little girl. I didn't like people copying me. I like I didn't wanna copy nobody else. It was like I just wanted to be who I was, and I wanted people to be who they were, and I didn't feel like any of that created conflict or competition. I've always felt
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah, for people that have not known her long term, I will attest to the fact that she's always moved to her own beat, and she was just a very unique child, but so vibrant, right? So it was almost like an experience with her. So you got to see her in all her authenticity. But I think what you gave to have understanding of that was something that was early for you in your development, that was a core part of you. So that when you had those challenges as a young adult, when you had those challenges as, being a single mom, there was something that was already rooted in you that you could pull on because you needed in those moments. You needed to authentically be you to push through some of the experiences you were have. So I love that that's what you talked about. This is the IOA podcast, a space for truth, tenderness, and becoming whole, one breath at a time. Make sure to like and subscribe. Now back to our conversation. Your name means joy, and I often talk about joy. So, what are your current joy anchors? What's the things that anchor you?
I love that you asked that because I have a practice that I do for myself just in general every day. I wake up and I say, "Today I'm centering myself in." And usually one of those words is joy. And so it's not that I don't expect for things to go wrong in my life. It's not that I don't expect for things to upset me or anything like that. But I feel like at the end of the day, I'm still centering myself in joy. And what that looks like is that when I do encounter things that are not joy oriented, I just don't allow them to take over the day. It's like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. And that's okay, and I try to move myself through it with a mindset of I can accept what's happening to me and not allow it to move me in a negative direction. And I think that that has been something that I've had to learn over time because I feel like I wasn't always in that space where I could say like, okay, something bad happened, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad day. And I feel like me centering myself in the joy says that I can try to either find gratitude for it or find meaning from it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that you're talking about the appraisal that you're doing from an internal space. The stressor still exists.
Yeah.
because they're daily, right? I literally just had a lecture on this with my students, and we were covering stress and how we appraise situations. And I'm like, there's certain things that'll never go away. Traffic won't go away. You have kids, not going to go away. You work a job, the stressors that come with that. People have to move. People deal with loss. Like all of these are life stressors, but how you interpret them makes the difference. And that really is the difference from one person to the next. How you view a stressful situation or how you view a less than favorable experience
Yeah.
can shift how you go through it. And I think that's what I like. You can go through a hard time and not allow it to take you under. So having that joy at the top of your mind, I think is something that is a testament not only to me, seeing you do that. And I see you walk in it because again, I'm your sister. So there's things I am privy to that I know that you're experiencing. And I still see you with the smile and wanting to hug me for a thousand minutes of a day when she sees me because that is her personality. She very much personifies her name. Sometimes when you don't have the energy, she's way up here with the big energy. But
Yeah.
I appreciate that because that really uniquely is who you are. And just kind of sidebar, I talk about the power of names, and I really do feel like in our culture, naming ceremonies were done for a reason because it was almost like an edict that the family was putting on that child. These are the qualities that we are saying you are going to walk in. And I feel like our parents were intentional with that. I look at your name and how you personify that. Our sister Danielle's middle name, she very much personifies beauty. Like she is just one of the most beautiful. She was a beautiful child and she's a beautiful adult. Like she is just a beautiful person, right? And so I think that that name is something you carry. So having a joy anchor is almost like you came with that because it was decreed over your life that you would have that. And that
Yeah.
that in itself is a gift.
I agree. And I'm so grateful for it too.
Yeah. And I love that. All right. What's your mantra? Where do you go back to when things are a little off course or you need to write yourself back and course correct? What's the mantra you go to that gets you back on track?
Hmm. I think I would have to say, and I've been saying this a lot lately, like, I believe that all things work together for good.
Mhm.
I believe all things work together for good. And then I started changing it a little bit more. And I started saying, all things are working for my good. Like, literally, even the things that frustrate me that don't go quite right, it's like, okay, it must have happened for some reason. And it's okay if I don't know what that reason is. I'm just choosing to believe that it's working for my good. And sometimes you have to live life a little bit further down the line to be able to see in hindsight, like how things ended up working out. But I feel like in all things, I'm able to see, like, no, it's working for me. It's not working against me, even if that means that it's working on me. Right. Because
Yeah.
some of those times it's not just about things working for favorable outcomes, but actually helping me to become the person that God intended me to be. And I have to embrace all of that.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's a different perspective. People talk about wins and losses. I look at wins and lessons because the
Absolutely.
losses are their lessons, right?
Yes.
I know definitively this does not work. Do not do that again, right? If I were to look at my first marriage as a loss, then I don't take the lessons out of that to be able to apply to my current marriage to be almost 23 years into this union. I
Right.
had to take something from that experience. And I also feel like it was necessary for me because I started young in a marriage and I had the expectation of church that really did not give us an understanding of what marriages are supposed to look like. I
Yes.
did it because they said if you want to be saved, don't want to go to hell, you get married, right? Doesn't work too well because divorce rates are similar in the church as they are outside. They're pretty much the same.
Facts.
So I had lessons from that, and every experience that I've had where it didn't lead to a success immediately, I still feel like it built up towards successes that I've had. And so I do like you talking about how all the things, the collective, cherry picking the good experiences out don't make you you. We would not have you without understanding being a single mom under the pressures of the church eye and trying to figure out who you are out loud, and heal out loud. Like, people didn't understand what they were seeing with you. They saw the progression of you becoming, but didn't realize that the becoming also is parallel to the healing. So a lot of what
Absolutely.
we saw was you healing out loud in front of us. And so, that's been the thing that I've been on, especially since the last episode from last week, was that we're healing loudly and we're living softly. And
Mhm.
so that is sometimes contradicted for people to understand, but I'm like, I embody that. My healing is going to be out loud, and I want people to see it to encourage them on their healing journey as well. So I appreciate being able to witness up close your healing and your becoming, because it inspires me. Even as a big sister, I know it seems like it should be the other way around, but it inspires me.
Thank you,
I'm
sis.
going to ask you this, and I should have asked this before the last question, but I want to ask you, how do you practice rest without guilt? You have 5 children and only 2 of them are adults. So, and we had a little person in the equation when we first started trying to film this. So she's a lot. She's demanding.
Yes, she is very much so. I call her my big boss. But yeah, if I'm being honest, I don't have one big boss. I have 5 big bosses, and
You do.
at any given time, they do take over. I do think that one thing that really centers me in terms of like getting rest and having a space where I can just decompress and have peace is I've always felt a connection to water for some reason. My friends make fun of
I
me
love
because
water. I love
yes,
water.
but my friends make fun of me because I am known for taking very long baths. I will set the
That's
temperature
me.
really warm. It's like I want
Mhm.
a very hot bath, and I will sit in the tub for a good hour where I literally will like journal, I will pray, I will have a whole Holy Ghost session all wrapped up in one and then get
Do you
out
have
and be like,
candles? I like
"Yes.
candles.
Yes." Oh, I that's a whole nother story. It's like I have too many
Yeah,
candles, but
I
yes.
do too.
Mhm.
I do too.
That's my thing. And so I just
Yeah.
let the bath water run, and sometimes what I do is, like, I'll sit as the bath is running, just sit in the tub and hear the running water. Sometimes that's
Mhm.
enough to just regulate and calm, and I'm, like, even laughing because with my youngest daughter, that's literally how I was able to go into labor successfully was because I actually just said, "Okay, I'm gonna stop trying to make her come and just chill and relax." And it was, like, all connected. So I was yeah,
Mhm.
going to the bathtub is my thing.
Yeah, water is powerful. I don't know where my affinity for water started from, but
Yeah.
I'm a water person too. My husband, your brother, he's tired of me wanting to go to islands, but I'm like, I love water. So I like going to places that they have beaches or being able to go to waterfalls. Like when I was hiking, I found in the close proximity all of the hiking trails that had waterfalls. Like that was my thing. And so I get it. It is a very relaxing, calming experience. So I think that that's great. I recommend as a clinician that self-care time doesn't have to be big and grand. It just needs to be consistent
Right.
and impactful. And a bath can be consistently done because we need to bathe, we need to be clean. But also, it can be very impactful in a short amount of time. So I like that one. All right. Finish this sentence. Today I choose.
Today I choose joy,
I release.
negativity.
Ooh, I like that one. I remember.
I can do all things.
Ooh, I like that one too. All right. So for our listeners, if they were to try one small act of courage this week, what would you recommend for them?
Honestly, just start small. Sometimes we hold ourselves back thinking that we have to immediately meet the goal line when it's like it's not about going all the way there immediately. Just take one step in that direction. Give yourself permission to do that as often as you can. And that's when you're going to start seeing the progress. It's not about meeting the mark immediately and perfectly off jump. Just give yourself permission to start small, to start somewhere, and to move in the direction of where you want to go.
I like that. And I'll just add one little thing is be consistent in whatever you choose. And I learned that this space is new for me. Creating content and doing that is not something I consume it, but creating it is a different situation. And one of the things I've been hearing consistently from creators is that it doesn't matter, be consistent. Post something daily, and even if you don't get the responses that you're looking for, it's building blocks towards what you're doing. So I do like what you came up with. All right. So where can people support you, support your work, and stay connected to you?
So you can connect with me on all social platforms at Chara Jane Shine. And that is also the name of my website, charajaneshine.com. And I am just so excited and so grateful to have had this time with you, Malika. I just want to say thank you again. Like, this has been so much fun.
You're welcome. All right. One last thing. Leave us with a one line blessing for anyone that is right now in a period of their life where they feel tired, but they know that they're not done. Their purpose has not been fulfilled.
I want you to remember that God has given you a unique light that only you can shine. And it doesn't matter whether you are high or low, and whatever it is that you're dealing with in your life, you are still created to shine. And that means you can just show up with what you have, and what you have in whatever season you're in is enough for right now.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Cara, for being my very first guest. We are super excited about getting this content out, and I hope that people follow her. She is amazing. She has great content, and she's just a bucket full of joy,
Thank
literally.
you. Thank
So I
you.
thank you, and we will be back in just a second. This is the IOA Podcast, a space for truth, tenderness, and becoming whole, one breath at a time. Make sure to like and subscribe. I am so grateful that you all got the opportunity to witness this very first episode of bonus content for the IOA Podcast. As always, remember, we need you to like and subscribe. Make sure that you are clicking the like on this video. Make sure you are clicking subscribe on the page so that you can be informed when we come out with more information and more episodes on this channel. As always, we thank you for being a part of this journey. We want to continue to encourage you to heal out loud and live softly, and know that this collective space that we have come together in is a place for us to heal, to root, and to grow. Thank you. And until next time.